That's what they're telling us. The very people who just days ago were telling us that the FBI is an ethically unimpeachable organization, the ultimate tiebreaker. Now, the FBI is part of the deep state.
The investigation was very limited.
This report is blatantly and clearly incomplete.
Our fears have been realized. Our fears have been realized. This is not a thorough investigation.
In your view, is this a fulsome and credible investigation?
It's obviously a cover-up.
Our fears have been realized. The FBI is working with the Trump administration. They always have been. It's a plot so secret, we believe the opposite is happening. How's that for clever? Others on the left say now what we really need is for Brett Kavanaugh to take a polygraph exam, because those are accepted by science. Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina pointed out that the lie detector likely just the first demand in a long list. Watch.
You've humiliated this guy enough, and they said bottom for some of you. So why don't we dunk him in water and see if he floats? Maybe you'll believe he lied about how much he drank in high school, that he threw ice in a party, in a bar, or he doesn't have the temperament, that he didn't handle being destroyed well. Enough already. Let's vote.
Why don't we just dunk him in water and see if he floats? It was good enough in medieval France. You know the truth. Only one thing will truly be good enough: an investigation of some kind, or maybe a water dunking of some kind that lasts at least through January 3rd, 2019. That's when the new Congress will be sworn in. Of course, that's the real goal. It always has been. Fortunately, it looks like this ploy is failing. Win or lose, Kavanaugh's nomination will be voted on, it looks like, within a few days. It seems likely he'll be confirmed, but who knows? And we won't know until the moment the last vote is cast. Still, it's worth thinking about what the world looks like once this is all over, after Kavanaugh's confirmation vote. This is a new country now. What will it look like? Well, the left has accused President Trump of overturning norms and destroying institutions. But as always, that is pure projection. Whatever they're accusing you of is exactly what they're doing. And it's true in this case, too. The left just mounted a full assault on our justice system. They thought nothing of tossing out the presumption of innocence. You saw actual U.S. senators say things like, the accused has an obligation to prove himself innocent. They said that out loud. And then they tried to use the FBI as a weapon against their political opponents, and not for the first time. The Obama administration did the same. Think this will stop? Think again. Thought leaders, to the extent that's not an oxymoron on the left, are already laying the groundwork to pack the courts, something that hasn't been tried since the 1930s. Adding more Democrats to change the balance, the least democratic, small d democratic option available. It's only fair, they'll tell you, to offset the theft of Merrick Garland's seat on the Supreme Court and, of course, the appointment of a teenage sex offender. Going forward, look for the left to delegitimize any decisions written by Brett Kavanaugh from the court, or even any decisions in which he is the majority. Some states may just decide to ignore the Supreme Court. Sound far-fetched to you? Maybe. Maybe not. Look what's happening in California right now. Lawmakers in that state, the largest state in the union, have already made it a crime for citizens in California to assist in the enforcement of any federal immigration law. California is, in effect, in open revolt against the laws of the United States. Suppose the Supreme Court were to try to crack down on that. It's not impossible to imagine California simply refusing to comply because Brett Kavanaugh sits on the court. Its edicts are illegitimate. That could happen. And that, by the way, is what crisis actually looks like. So get ready for that. Before we get to our first guest, we do have a Fox News alert for you. Brett Kavanaugh wrote an op-ed published in the Wall Street Journal literally a few seconds ago. Here's a selection from it, and we're quoting now. I was very emotional last Thursday, more so than I have ever been. I might have been too emotional at times. I know that my tone was sharp, and I've said a few things I should not have said. I hope everyone can understand that I was there as a son, husband, and dad. I testified with 5 people foremost in my mind: my mom, my dad, my wife, and most of all, my daughters. Going forward, you can count on me to be the same kind of judge and person I have been for my entire 28-year legal career. Hardworking, even-keeled, open-minded, independent, and dedicated to the Constitution and the public good. There's a lot more to that op-ed. We just tweeted out a link to the full piece just appearing in the Wall Street Journal. So there's that. Meanwhile, Joe DeGenova is, of course, a former U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia. Danny Carlson is a former deputy assistant director of the FBI, and they both join us tonight. First to you, Joe. Do you think it's likely, as Democrats are now suggesting, that the FBI is in secret collusion with their very close allies in the Trump administration to subvert the will of the Democratic Party? Based on what we have been watching for the past 2 years, do you think that's a likely scenario?
Yes, well, I think what the Democrats are engaged in is something that we call the big lie. And what they've done is they have associated themselves with anarchy, and they are now in full revolt against the Constitution of the United States, the Union, and the rule of law. What you are hearing are the cries of an injured child, not unlike those of Ms. Ford when she testified before the committee as an injured adolescent. The Democratic Party is in full retreat from good government, the rule of law, and sanity. These people are crazed, seeking power, and there they are, calling into question the integrity of the FBI, who didn't want anything to do with this, and were asked to do it by Senator Coons and Senator Flake. Good Lord, they are appalling.
So, Danny Carlson, if you're one of the many FBI agents and employees who doesn't want the agency to become politicized or used as a weapon by a political party or other, what do you make of all this?
Well, I think that they don't like the result. That's very, very simple. I said when the investigation began that you'll get your investigation, but you may not like what they find out. And what they found out is not only was there not corroboration of Dr. Ford's story, the important thing is her story was rejected by her own witnesses. And I think that's very difficult for the Democratic Party to handle. The FBI doesn't really care how these things come out. That's why there was so much aversion to James Comey's record as the director. They want to be known as independent. We want to be fact finders, and they do today. And I will tell you, they did not parse this investigation. They did a thorough investigation, and just because you like it doesn't mean it's not valid. And I think that's what we're dealing with here. Is if you don't like the results, then attack the investigative agency, and I don't think it's going to play out very well.
So what I think what you just heard Mr. Carlson say, Joe DeGenova, is from the FBI perspective, they don't have a moral obligation to prove true the spotty 37-year-old memories of Christine Ford in order to stop Brett Kavanaugh. They don't see that as their duty?
Indeed they don't, and they shouldn't, and Danny's absolutely correct. This is an example of what happens when a party decides to uproot itself from the rule of law, from decency and honesty and integrity. They have destroyed themselves. They are hurting innocent people, a man, his family. The confirmation process is in shambles as a result of the conduct of Senator Feinstein and Senator Booker and Senator Harris and the little man from Delaware, Senator Coons, whose blathering, fake lawyering has become an embarrassment to the Senate. But that's where we are. So what do? They attack the FBI. The FBI is a great institution, notwithstanding James Comey's leadership.
Right.
They remain a great institution today.
So really quick, Danny Carlson, do you think Democrats are saying, well, Kavanaugh needs to take a polygraph exam? Is it even within the realm of possibility that he heads over to FBI HQ and takes a polygraph exam? What does that even mean?
Well, I totally reject that. If I were doing the investigation, and I used to run these investigations with the FBI, and in no way is this a case where you'd want a polygraph. I've seen the polygraphs be successful. I've seen them fail miserably. Right. This is a matter of credibility, and we have the ability as human beings to adjudicate credibility. We do it every day in our life. Courts do it, juries do it, we all do it. And it's pretty simple, really.
Thank you for the reminder of that. We don't need a machine to reach conclusions. Thank you both very much. It was great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.